The first of Spectrum Holobyte's series of Star Trek The Next Generation games is finally on the shelves. It's called The Final Unity, and it's fair to say that the industry has never seen a project quite this ambitious before.
Oh, come on. This is only one CD. What about Under a Killing Moon?
You're missing the point. I said ambitious, not large. A tremendous amount of work went into making this game feel like the actual television show.
And yet I sense from your tone that Spectrum fell a bit short of this goal. I'm not much of a Trekkie, so...
If you don't want to be lynched by a rampaging mob of fans, you'll reword that.
Trekker. Anyway, I wouldn't recognize the structure of the show if it came up and bit me on the triple.
Well, to be perfectly fair, the designers may have just set themselves an impossible task. The nature of Trek and its fans is that no matter what the game looked like, there would have been nitpickers talking about glaring errors.
Kinda like you're about to do right now.
You know me too well. Maybe I should start with what they got right, which is actually a pretty long list. As you probably already know, one of the coolest things about A Final Unity is that all the main characters from the show contributed their voices. It's great to hear Patrick Stewart say "engage" on your PC. Kind of gives you the willies.
I'm sure he's happy for you. But even I could tell that these actors weren't exactly giving their all to their vocal performances. After working for so long as a close-knit group on the Enterprise set, it was probably a tad distracting for them to have to recreate the roles individually in a recording booth.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It wasn't quite bad enough to be called mediocre, but these guys have done so much better in the past. You probably won't be annoyed, but you won't exactly be inspired either.
If you want to talk inspirational, let's talk about those spaceships. Yow!
By far, the closest a Final Unity comes to really recreating the next-gen experience is in the visual effects. The shots of the Enterprise in flight and all the other space clips are just perfect. The visuals were always striking in the TV show, and they definitely made the transition to the game.
Of course, in order to fully appreciate them, you may have to watch them in an itty-bitty window, but that's the way the Borg bounces. The visuals are definitely important. From what I can tell, they're the main thing that separate Next Gen from Doctor Who.
Boy, you are just determined to upset fans of something, aren't you?
It's what I live for.
The gameplay is laid out pretty well. When you're on the bridge, you are more or less in control of the captain. You make the decisions about who to talk to and who to fight. If you want to just leap right into combat instead of negotiating, feel free.
Turn Picard into Kirk for a day. Fun stuff. You can either delegate the tactics to Worf, since it's his job and all, or you can take control of the guns yourself. Fire off them photon torpedoes, throw a few lightsabers at the enemy, and watch them squeal.
You know perfectly well that the Enterprise is not equipped with lightsabers.
It isn't. Flagship of the Federation, my ass.
When you have to set up an away mission, you get to choose which members of the crew to send unless you're playing on the easy, wimpy ensign level, in which case the computer chooses the best people for you.
Actually, weren't you playing on that easy, wimpy ensign level?
Shut up! The interface is really easy for this part. Pick whichever crew member you want to control and pick your action icon. Look, use, talk, or walk.
And it does make a difference which crew member you use for these things. If you want to check out someone's injuries, you won't get very useful information if you have the security officer do a tricorder reading.
Right. Obviously, you send in Dr. Beverly Crusher with a medical tricorder.
Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a... Oh.
As is the case with the actual show, a lot of the time is taken up with talking.
Foo on talking. Want action.
Well, there's some of that too, but you're going to have to wade through a lot of information to get where you're going. To make this easier, your shipboard computer lets you read through the last 10 conversations you had.
Then you're reading instead of talking. Yeah, that's much more exciting.
This was a great feature, but it should also have been implemented on the away missions. Maybe one of those 24th century laptops could be used.
Okay, you've gotten some good strokes in there. Now, what didn't you like about this game?
Well, like I said, a lot of it comes from the designers setting up too many impossible expectations about the game being just like the show. There's no wandering around the Enterprise. Almost everything is on the bridge. When you want to talk to someone in the conference room, you just get a tiny picture of them and you're still on the bridge.
Well, that seems a tad nitpicky. Personally, I just wish there was a way to turn off that constant engine noise. It was putting me to sleep.
That's a point. You don't notice the engines as much in the show because there's usually some music in the background. The music in A Final Unity was great, but it was few and far between, only used in the transition sequences. I know they could have done better than that. Well, one of Spectrum's slated goals for this game was to basically appeal to everyone in the universe, regardless of fandom level, race, color, creed, or social status. Did they pull it off, non-fanboy?
Absolutely not. Face it, this is a specialized product. If you didn't like Next Gen before, this will not convert you. If you don't know the show, you can find the details out pretty easily. The computer can tell you who Deanna Troi is, for example, but that won't make you care.
But the good news is that there are enough next-gen fans out there for Spectrum Holobyte to still make a tidy profit.
Oh good, I was so worried.
If you are one of those fans,
And if you're still listening, you probably are.
a Final Unity will keep you occupied for a long time. The story is really engaging and political, and there's lots of subplots to keep you from getting too bogged down. If you really feel brave, you can play on Captain level and make all the decisions for yourself.
But remember, there's a reason why there are so many people on board one of those ships in the first place.
Try not to raise your expectations too high, and you might be able to appreciate this game for the remarkable achievement it is.
But keep notes on the things you don't like and send them off to Spectrum Holobyte. After all, this is only the first part of a series. Maybe they actually will get everything right a game or two down the road.